Welcome to day 43. And today we're going to focus on the one thing. The one thing. We've spoke earlier and we talked about earlier all of the items in the code, and this is really the gateway to the next area that we are going to be discussing, and that is the keys, right? So, um, with all of the things that open up for us, right? We talked about the all the other areas of our life, our code, the code, the core, and so on. And once we gain access to all this power, like why is it that we access this power, right? And while we have all these options and we've created new opportunities, we have a lot of actually we've presented ourselves with a lot of things that could be done, should be done, and pretty soon we have some level of chaos in this abundance of power and opportunity that we have. And in some sense, we have to sort through this and prioritize that. And what can happen is like, well, I'll just call it like wandering generality. Like we have all this power, but we can go through our life without being specific, without being target. Same thing with, I guess, the whole object of this is focus, right? Where we want to take rather than wander around in this wandering generality, we want to take specific. We want to be specific about where we're headed and what we want to do, right? As a way of eliminating all this. There's a saying years ago that knowledge was power. That's very different today, right? Knowledge isn't power anymore. Knowledge is everywhere. You can get a billion times more knowledge than you can consume, and that no longer is power. The game today is focus. Focus is power, and with a wandering generality, it's you have no focus, right? So what we want to do is we want to be meaningfully specific, right? We want to actually be very specific in what we target. It has meaning and it has designation to our outcomes and goals, and quiet the mind and quiet the clutter uh, of all of the opportunities and all the things that could and should and actually speak to us that almost demand to be done. We have to escape that chaos and actually get to a point where we can actually focus on the one thing that needs to be done, not all the things that could be done. Okay, so once again, the focus is the power, right? Without focus, we have potential, but we don't have any power, and it has no impact. Uh, the idea of what comes to mind is a hammer, right? Like the idea that a hammer even works is that 3 pounds fall in a small area. 3 pounds falling on a trampoline, for example, is spread out and has no focus and therefore has no power. The concept of thinking small to grow big, right? Is that means all that means is you have a small target. You sniper focus, right? You take out a small target. You don't fire into a generality of big things could do, should do. You don't listen to the noise around you, and you basically take a sniper approach, right? You take a target and rather than a goal, which tends to be quite broad. You take a sniper approach, which is a very specific part in producing that goal, and it's much more specific. Um, so once again, um, the main point of this, and when we talk again about the one thing, we're talking about the one thing that, if done, would make everything else not necessary or much easier, right? So again, what we want to do is we want to target and keep the focus on the one thing. And there's also a book called The One Thing that you may want to pick up. It's actually a very good read and creates a lot of focus into this game. Um, and once again, uh, from the beginning, to produce all this power, to do everything that we've done so far, to create a foundation, to do the core four every day, to actually build this all this power and keep track of the matrix of the power and the zones and all this has no purpose whatsoever if it can't be focused on a very small item if you can't overcome all the noise and the clutter that's going on in the world around you. Um, so their assignment, once again, is to go ahead and teach this. If you can't teach it, you don't know it. If you don't know it, you can't live it. Along with all the other items at the bottom of this page, we'll talk to you tomorrow on day 44.